Admiral Kyle Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. The ship was huge. It was called the UES Dominion. The ship was 10 kilometers long and black like space itself. Today was a special day. Today, they would finally face their enemies. The UES ship came out of hyperspace above a planet. This planet was the home of the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrians were aliens who looked like big lizards. They had tried to kill all humans 40 years ago. They thought they had won. They thought all humans were dead. They were wrong. "Sir, the aliens are calling us," said Lieutenant Amy Rogers. She was sitting at the communication desk. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking a little. "They want to know who we are. They are telling us to leave right now." Morrison smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was cold and angry. He had waited 40 years for this moment. When he was young, he had watched the aliens destroy human colonies. He had seen billions of people die. He had escaped on a small ship with other survivors. Now he was back. "What do you see on the screens, Captain Grant?" Morrison asked his second officer. Captain Lisa Grant looked at the displays around her station. Numbers and lights showed enemy ships moving toward them. 300 alien ships are coming toward us, sir. They are forming attack groups. Should we start moving to defend ourselves? "No," Morrison said. "We stay right here. Open a channel to their commanders. I want to talk to them." The bridge was quiet except for the soft sounds of computers working. The crew knew this was important. They had all lost family and friends to the aliens. Some crew members were children when the attacks happened. Others were born on the escape ships. All of them wanted justice. On the big screen in front of them, they could see the alien planet below. It was red and orange, with 3 moons around it. Cities covered the surface. Billions of aliens lived there. They had no idea what was coming. "Sir," said Ensign Carl Brooks from another station. "The alien defense system is fully active. They have weapons pointed at us from the planet's surface and from space stations." Morrison nodded. "Good. I want them to see everything we do. Amy, are they ready to talk?" "Yes, sir. The alien high command is waiting for your message." Morrison walked to the center of the bridge. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations. The ship was ready for anything. Its weapons were charged but not aimed at any targets yet. Morrison wanted the aliens to see their ship first. He wanted them to be afraid. "This is Admiral Kyle Morrison of the United Earth Systems Navy," he said, to the screen. His voice was strong and clear. "You might remember my people. 40 years ago you tried to kill us all." On the alien command ship, High Commander Vextar stared at the screen. His yellow eyes were wide with shock. Humans were supposed to be dead. His people had made sure of that. They had destroyed every human world they could find. They had used their most powerful weapons. How could any human still be alive? "Impossible," Vextar whispered to his officers. "We checked every human colony. We destroyed them all." But the proof was right in front of him. A human was talking to him from a ship that was bigger than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. Thayao. Ship's design was strange. It did not look like any technology they knew about. Back on the Dominion, Morrison continued his message. "Commander Phillips, what is the status of our main weapon?" Commander Jake Phillips checked his instruments. The gravity lance was the most powerful weapon ever built by humans. It could destroy entire moons. "Ready to fire, sir. All systems are working perfectly." Morrison looked back at the screen. He could see the fear in the alien commander's eyes. "Good. They should be afraid." "You destroyed our homes," Morrison said. "You killed our families. You thought you had won, but you only made us stronger." Captain Grant watched the enemy ships on her display. They were getting closer, but they seemed confused. They did not know what to do. Their sensors could not understand the human ship. "Sir, they are scanning us but getting no useful information. Our hull is blocking their sensors." "Perfect," Morrison said. "Amy, make sure this message goes to every ship and every planet in their empire. I want them all to hear this." Amy worked quickly on her controls. "Done, sir. Every alien in their empire can hear you now." Morrison's voice became even colder. We have spent 40 years building this ship and others like it. We have learned everything about your technology. We have made it better, much better. Now we are here to show you what happens when you try to destroy humanity. The alien ships were very close now. Hundreds of them surrounded the single human ship. But the Dominion did not move. It just floated in space, like it had no fear at all. "Sir," said Captain Grant, "they are almost in weapon range." Morrison smiled his cold smile again. "Let them come closer. I want them to see this very clearly. Phillips, target their largest moon." Phillips worked on his controls. The gravity lance turned toward one of the 3 moons around the alien planet. The moon was almost as big as Earth's moon. Cities and military bases covered its surface. Millions of aliens lived there. "Target locked, sir," Phillips reported. Morrison looked at the screen one more time. The alien commander looked terrified now. He knew something terrible was about to happen, but he could not stop it. "Fire," Morrison said quietly. The gravity lance fired. A beam of energy that could bend space itself shot out from the human ship. It hit the moon and something amazing happened. The moon did not explode, it did not break apart, it simply disappeared. 1 second it was there, and the next second it was gone. Only dust remained where a whole world used to be. The alien ship stopped moving. Every alien who saw it was too shocked to think. A weapon that could make a moon disappear was beyond their understanding. Morrison spoke again. "That was just our greeting. Now, shall we discuss what happens next?" High Commander Vextar stared at the empty space where the moon used to be. His hands were shaking. His officers stood around him with their mouths open. Nobody spoke for a long time. The moon had been there for millions of years. Now it was just dust floating in space. "Report," Vextar finally said. His voice was very quiet. "Sir," said his science officer, "our sensors show that the moon was completely destroyed at the molecular level. Every atom was separated from every other atom. We have never seen anything like this." Vextar looked at the human ship on his screen. It was just floating there, waiting. The ship was black and smooth. No weapons were visible on its surface, but it had just destroyed a moon like it was nothing. "How many people lived on that moon?" Vextar asked. 12 million, sir," another officer replied. "All gone." On the human ship, Admiral Morrison watched the alien fleet. The ships had stopped moving toward them. Some were actually moving backward. Morrison could understand their fear. He had felt the same fear 40 years ago, when alien ships had appeared over human colonies. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Rogers, "we are getting messages from all over the alien empire. Their other fleets are asking what happened here." Morrison nodded. "Good. Fear travels fast. Commander Phillips, how long before we can fire again?" "The gravity lance will be ready in 30 seconds, sir," Phillips answered. Captain Lisa Grant was watching the tactical display. The alien ships were confused. Some wanted to attack. Others wanted to run away. Their formation was breaking apart. "Sir, the enemy fleet is losing organization. Some ships are requesting orders to retreat." Morrison walked to the communication station. "Amy, open a channel to the alien high command again. I want to talk to their emperor." The screen changed to show a new alien. This one was bigger than the others. He had golden scales and red eyes. Rings of metal were around his neck and arms. This was Emperor Zixthon, ruler of the Zephyrian Empire. "Human," the emperor said, "what you have done is an act of war." Morrison almost laughed. "An act of war? Your people destroyed 12 human colonies. You killed 3 billion of my people. You declared war on us 40 years ago. We are just finishing it." "We ended the human threat to galactic peace," the emperor replied. "Your species was dangerous. You expanded too quickly. You took resources that belonged to others." Commander Beth Carter stepped forward. She was the ship's intelligence officer. She had studied the aliens for many years. "Your imperial records show that humans never attacked alien colonies. We traded with other species. We shared technology. The only threat we posed was to your Empire's plan to control the galaxy. The Emperor's red eyes became brighter with anger. Lies. Human expansion had to be stopped. Morrison's face became hard. You want to talk about expansion? Your Empire controls 1,000 star systems. You have enslaved 50 different species. You destroy any civilization that refuses to serve you. We were never the threat. You were. Captain Ryan Foster was monitoring the ship's sensors. He could see movement throughout the alien empire. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements. They are calling ships from all over their territory. Morrison had expected this. How many ships total? At least 5,000, sir. Maybe more. They are moving toward border positions and major military bases. The Emperor heard this report too. His anger was replaced by something that looked like confidence. You have one ship, human. We have thousands. Your weapon is powerful, but you cannot fight our entire empire. Morrison smiled. It was not his cold smile from before. This smile was different. It was the smile of someone who knows a secret. Amy, send the signal. Amy worked on her controls. A special message went out through space. It was coded in a way that only human ships could understand. All across the galaxy, other ships received the message. Ships that had been hiding in empty space for months. Ships that had been waiting for this moment. Sir, Foster reported. All ships are reporting in. They are ready. Morrison looked back at the Emperor. You said we have one ship. You were wrong. The display screen changed to show a map of the entire Zephyrian Empire. Red dots appeared on the map. Each dot was a human ship. There were 50 dots total. Each dot was positioned over an important alien world or military base. 50 dreadnoughts, Morrison said. Each one exactly like this ship. Each one with the same weapons. Each one positioned over your most important locations. The Emperor stared at the map. His confident expression disappeared. His officers were pointing at different red dots and talking quickly in their alien language. Impossible, the Emperor whispered. Our sensors would have detected them, Commander Carter answered. Human stealth technology is 40 years ahead of your detection systems. Our ships have been in position for 3 months. You never knew they were there. Morrison pointed to different dots on the map. Ship Alpha 7 is over your main military academy. Ship Beta 3 is above your largest shipyard. Ship Gamma 1 is positioned over your most important mining colony. Each ship has a gravity lance aimed at critical targets. Captain Grant was watching the tactical displays. Sir, the alien fleets are changing course. They are moving to defend their home systems. Too late, Morrison said. Amy, open channels to all our ships. I want every alien commander to hear this. The communication system connected to all 50 human ships. All across the Empire, alien commanders could hear Morrison's voice. This is Admiral Morrison to all human vessels. You may fire when ready. On the screen they could see flashes of light from distant star systems. Each flash was another gravity lance firing. Each flash meant another alien military base was disappearing. Stop, the Emperor shouted. We surrender. Stop the attack. Morrison held up his hand. The firing stopped, but the threat remained. You surrender? Just like that? What choice do we have? The Emperor said. His voice was quiet now. All his anger was gone. Your weapons are too powerful. Your technology is too advanced. We cannot fight you. Morrison nodded. You are right. You cannot fight us. But this is not about surrender. This is about justice. Commander Jake Phillips reported from his station. Sir, all ships report successful strikes. 25 major military installations have been destroyed. No human casualties. The aliens had lost some of their most important military bases in just a few minutes. But Morrison was not finished. Emperor, your empire has ruled through fear for 1,000 years. You have enslaved entire species. You have destroyed civilizations that refused to serve you. The time for that kind of rule is over. What do you want? The Emperor asked. Morrison looked around at his crew. These people had all lost family to the aliens. They had spent their whole lives preparing for this moment. But they were not here for revenge. They were here for something more important. "We want peace," Morrison said. "Real peace. Not the peace of slaves serving masters. The peace of free people working together." The Emperor was quiet for a long time. He looked at the map showing human ships throughout his empire. He looked at the empty space where the moon used to be. Finally, he spoke. "What are your terms?" Morrison smiled. Now they could begin the real work. Emperor Zixthon appeared on the main screen of the Dominion. His image was sent through space by special technology. Behind him stood his war council, 12 of the most powerful aliens in the Empire. They all looked afraid. Some were whispering to each other. Others just stared at the human ship. "This cannot be real," the Emperor said. "We destroyed every human world. Our reports were complete. Every human colony was found and eliminated." Commander Beth Carter stepped forward with a data tablet in her hands. She had spent years studying what happened to humanity. "Your forces destroyed 12 colonial worlds," she said calmly. 3 billion humans died in those attacks. But you missed something important. The Emperor's red eyes focused on her. "What did we miss?" "The deep space research stations," Carter explained. Humanity had 17 research bases in empty space between star systems. These stations were studying black holes and distant galaxies. Your scouts never found them because they were too far from any planets. Morrison took over the explanation. "We also had generation ships. These were huge vessels designed to carry people to new star systems over many years. When your attack began, 5 generation ships were between star systems. They were invisible to your sensors. Captain Lisa Grant was monitoring communications from across the Empire. "Sir, we are receiving reports from all our ships. The alien fleets are pulling back to defensive positions around their home worlds." Morrison nodded but kept talking to the Emperor. 50 million humans survived your genocide. For the first 10 years, we just ran and hid. We moved from system to system, staying ahead of your search fleets. We studied your technology. We learned how your empire worked." The Emperor was listening carefully now. His war council was talking quietly behind him, but he held up a hand to silence them. "The second 10 years, Morrison continued. We began building. We found empty star systems where we could hide. We built secret bases on dead planets. We started creating new technology based on what we had learned about your empire." Commander Jake Phillips was checking the weapon systems. "Sir, all gravity lances across the fleet are recharged and ready. We have target locks on 15 major alien shipyards." Morrison ignored the weapon report and kept talking to the Emperor. "The third 10 years, we started testing our new technology. We built better engines, stronger hulls, more powerful weapons. We discovered how to manipulate gravity itself. We learned to bend space and time." Captain Ryan Foster looked up from his sensor station. "Sir, long-range sensors show major fleet movements throughout their empire. It looks like they are calling every ship back to defend their core worlds." "Let them come," Morrison said. Then he looked back at the Emperor. "The fourth 10 years, we built these ships, 50 dreadnoughts, each one carrying the most advanced technology in the galaxy, each one crewed by survivors of your genocide and their children." The Emperor's voice was very quiet. 50 million people could not build 50 ships like this. Morrison smiled. "You are right. 50 million people could not build this fleet. But we did not stay at 50 million. In 40 years, our population grew to 200 million. We had children. We taught them about Earth and the colonies you destroyed. We taught them about the billions of people who died because of your empire." Commander Carter brought up new information on her tablet. "Every person on these ships lost family to your forces. Captain Foster's parents died on New Boston Colony. Lieutenant Rogers lost her grandparents on Terra Nova. Commander Phillips was born on a refugee ship after his mother escaped from New Shanghai." The names of the destroyed colonies made the Emperor uncomfortable. His empire kept records of their victories, but hearing the human names for those worlds made it seem more real. What do you want from us? The Emperor asked again. Morrison walked closer to the screen. We want justice, but not just for humanity. We want justice for every species your empire has enslaved. We want justice for every world you have conquered. We want justice for every civilization you have destroyed. The Emperor's War Council was talking loudly now. Some of them wanted to fight. Others wanted to negotiate. The Emperor held up his hand again and they became quiet. Our empire has brought order to the galaxy for 1,000 years, the Emperor said. Without us, there would be chaos. Different species would fight each other constantly. Captain Nina Watson stepped forward. She was the ship's diplomatic officer. Your idea of order is slavery. Any species that refuses to serve your empire is destroyed. Any world that will not give you their resources is conquered. That is not order. That is tyranny. Morrison nodded. We studied your history. Before your empire existed, the galaxy had hundreds of independent civilizations. They traded with each other. They shared knowledge and technology. Some fought wars, but most lived in peace. That time is over, the Emperor replied. The galaxy is too complex now for such chaos. You are wrong, Morrison said. The galaxy is ready for something better than your empire. The species you have enslaved are ready for freedom. The worlds you have conquered want independence. Commander Foster looked up from his sensors again. Sir, we are detecting communication bursts from enslaved worlds throughout the Empire. Word is spreading about our ships. Some planets are already starting to rebel. Morrison was not surprised. The people you have oppressed have been waiting for hope. Now they know that your empire can be defeated. The Emperor's image flickered as his communication system had problems. When it cleared, he looked very tired. If you destroy our empire, millions will die in the chaos that follows. Morrison shook his head. We are not here to destroy your empire. We are here to change it. We want to end the slavery and oppression. We want to create a new government where all species have equal voice, Captain Grant reported from her station. Sir, alien fleet commanders are requesting permission to attack our ships. So far, the Emperor has not given that permission. The Emperor heard this report too. He looked at Morrison with something that might have been respect. You could destroy our entire fleet right now. Your weapons are clearly superior. Why do you offer negotiation instead of conquest? Morrison was quiet for a moment. He thought about all the people who had died 40 years ago. He thought about the refugees who had lived in fear for decades. He thought about the children who had grown up knowing their species had almost been wiped out. Because we learned something you never did, Morrison finally said. We learned that real strength comes from building up others, not tearing them down. We learned that lasting peace comes from justice, not from fear. The Emperor was quiet for a long time. His war council waited for his decision. The human ships waited for his answer. Across the galaxy, billions of people watched and waited. What exactly are you proposing? The Emperor asked. Morrison smiled. The complete reorganization of galactic government. The end of the Zephyrian Empire as it exists now. The creation of a new galactic federation where every species has representation and rights. And if we refuse? Morrison's smile disappeared. Then we will systematically dismantle your empire one world at a time. We will free every enslaved species and liberate every conquered planet. The choice is yours. Peaceful transition or total war. The Emperor looked at the map showing human ships throughout his empire. He looked at the empty space where the moon had been. He looked at his war council, and he could see the fear in their eyes. We need time to consider your proposal, the Emperor said. Morrison nodded. You have 1 hour. The hour passed slowly. On the Dominion, Admiral Morrison and his crew waited. They watched their instruments and monitored communications across the alien empire. The Zephyrian leaders were talking to each other on secure channels, but human technology could listen to everything. What are they saying? Morrison asked Commander Carter. Carter listened to the translated conversations through her earpiece. The War Council is divided, sir. About half want to fight us. They think their numbers will win. The other half want to negotiate. They understand what our weapons can do. Captain Foster looked up from his sensor station. Sir, I am detecting movement in their reserve fleets. Ships are moving toward strategic positions, but slowly. They seem to be preparing for either battle or surrender. Morrison nodded. He had expected this. The aliens were getting ready for any possibility. What about the enslaved species? Are they reacting to the news? Lieutenant Amy Rogers was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. Yes, sir. We are receiving signals from slave colonies on dozens of worlds. Many are asking if the reports are true. Some are already starting to refuse orders from their alien masters. This was good news. The oppressed people of the galaxy were beginning to hope. For centuries, they had lived under alien rule with no chance of freedom. Now they could see that the Empire could be defeated. Sir, said Captain Grant, the alien fleet around us is maintaining position, but they have powered up all their weapons. If fighting starts, they are ready. Morrison looked at the tactical display. 300 alien ships surrounded his one vessel. In a normal battle, those odds would be impossible to win. But this was not a normal battle. Human technology was decades ahead of anything the aliens had. Commander Phillips, status of our weapons? All systems ready, sir. The Gravity Lance is fully charged. Point defense systems are online. Energy shields are at maximum power. Morrison walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. These people had trained for this moment their entire lives. They were ready for whatever happened next. The main screen activated. Emperor Zixthon appeared again, but this time he looked different. His golden scales seemed dull and his red eyes were tired. Behind him, his war council was arguing loudly. Admiral Morrison, the Emperor said, my council cannot agree on your demands. Morrison was not surprised. What are the disagreements? Half of my advisors believe we should fight you. They say your 50 ships cannot defeat our entire empire. They want to mobilize every vessel we have and attack all your positions at once. Captain Watson, the diplomatic officer, spoke up. And the other half? The Emperor was quiet for a moment. The other half believe you are too powerful to fight. They have seen what your weapons can do. They know that our technology cannot match yours. Morrison listened carefully. The Emperor's voice was calm, but there was something else there. Fear, maybe. Or perhaps respect. What do you believe, Emperor? Morrison asked. The Emperor looked directly at him through the screen. I believe that you could destroy my empire right now if you wanted to. Your ships are positioned perfectly. Your weapons are beyond our ability to stop. The question is, why have you not already done it? Morrison thought about the question. It was a good one. The human fleet could probably destroy every major alien military base within a few hours. They could break the Empire's power completely. But that was not what they wanted. Because destruction is easy, Morrison said. Building something better is much harder. We do not want to rule the galaxy the way you have. We want to help create something new. Behind the Emperor, one of his advisors stepped forward. This was General Krickstar, the head of the Imperial military. You speak of peace, but you hold weapons to our heads. That is not negotiation. That is conquest. Morrison looked at the general. Your empire conquered hundreds of worlds by holding weapons to their heads. You enslaved entire species by threatening to destroy them. We are offering you a choice. That is more than you ever gave your victims. General Krickstar's scales turned dark with anger. We brought civilization to primitive worlds. We created order from chaos. Commander Carter stepped forward with her data tablet. Your civilization involved killing anyone who refused to serve you. Your order was built on the bones of the innocent. We have studied your history. We know what your empire really is. The Emperor raised his hand to silence his general. What exactly would this new Galactic Federation look like? Captain Watson answered. Equal representation for all species. No single government would control multiple star systems unless those systems chose to join together freely. Trade agreements instead of tribute demands. Cooperation instead of conquest. And what happens to the Zephyrian people? The Emperor asked. Morrison had thought about this question many times. Your people would return to your original homeworld and a few nearby colonies. You would have representation in the new Federation just like everyone else. No special privileges, but also no punishment beyond what justice requires. Justice? General Krikstar demanded. What does that mean? It means the leaders responsible for genocide and slavery will face trial, Morrison said simply. It means stolen resources will be returned to their rightful owners. It means the enslaved species will be free. The Emperor was quiet for a long time. He looked at his war council, then back at Morrison. And if we choose to fight? Morrison's expression became serious. Then we will do what we must. Our ships will destroy your military forces. We will liberate every enslaved world. We will hunt down every war criminal. The result will be the same, but many more people will die, Captain Foster reported from his station. Sir, I am detecting new movement in the alien fleet. Some ships are powering up engines like they want to leave. Others are moving to attack positions. Morrison could see that the alien fleet was becoming divided. Some commanders wanted to fight, others wanted to escape, and still others wanted to surrender. This kind of confusion could lead to accidents that would start a battle nobody really wanted. Emperor, Morrison said, your fleet is losing cohesion. Some of your ships are preparing to attack, others to retreat. You need to make a decision before someone does something that starts a war. The Emperor looked at something off-screen, probably reports from his own sensors. General Krikstar, order all ships to maintain current positions. No one is to fire, unless I give direct permission. The general looked angry, but he followed orders. Yes, Emperor. Morrison could see that the Emperor was struggling with his decision. This was the leader of an empire that had ruled for 1,000 years. Giving up that power would not be easy, even when faced with superior force. Sir, Lieutenant Rogers reported, we are receiving a priority message from the human ship positioned over the alien capital world. Put it through, Morrison said. The voice of Captain Ellen Murphy filled the bridge. Admiral, the aliens are evacuating their government buildings. It looks like they are preparing for either surrender or a final battle. Morrison looked at the Emperor. Your people are scared. They do not know what will happen next. End their fear. Make your choice. The Emperor closed his red eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, Morrison could see that the decision had been made. I choose peace, the Emperor said quietly. We accept your terms. Behind him, General Krikstar started to protest, but the Emperor cut him off with a sharp gesture. The Zephyrian Empire formally surrenders to the human fleet, the Emperor announced. We will cooperate with the establishment of the new Galactic Federation. Morrison felt a wave of relief wash over him. 40 years of planning and preparation had led to this moment. The war was over before it had really begun. Thank you, Emperor, Morrison said. You have made the right choice. Now we can begin building a better galaxy together. 6 months had passed since the Emperor's surrender. The galaxy was a very different place now. Admiral Morrison stood in the main hall of the new Galactic Federation building. The building was on a neutral world called Haven, chosen because no major power had ever controlled it. Representatives from dozens of species filled the hall. There were beings with fur, others with scales, some that looked like plants and others that were made of energy. All of them had one thing in common. They had been enslaved by the Zephyrian Empire, and now they were free. Today was the final day of the war crimes trials. Former Emperor Zixthon stood in chains before the Federation Justice Council. The council had representatives from every species that had suffered under imperial rule. Morrison watched as the final charges were read. Zixthon of the Zephyrian species, announced Judge Veltar, a being from the Aquarius system. You are found guilty of genocide, slavery, and crimes against galactic peace. You are sentenced to life imprisonment on the prison world of isolation. 7. The former emperor said nothing. He had remained silent through most of his trial. His red eyes stared straight ahead as the guards led him away. Morrison felt no joy in seeing his enemy defeated. Justice was necessary, but it was not something to celebrate. Captain Lisa Grant walked over to Morrison. She now commanded her own ship, the UES Liberty. Sir, the final reports are in from all sectors. The transition is complete. Morrison looked at the data tablet she handed him. The numbers told an amazing story. Total casualties during the transition: Zephyrian military casualties 2 million, human casualties 0, civilian casualties from all species less than 10,000, mostly from accidents during the liberation process. These numbers would have been impossible to believe 6 months ago. A complete change of galactic government with almost no loss of life. Human technology had made the difference. The aliens simply could not fight weapons they could not understand. Commander Pete Davis approached them. He now led the new Galactic Defense Force, a military organization that included ships and crews from many different species. Admiral, I have the final military reorganization report. Morrison reviewed the information. How many alien military units have joined the Defense Force? About 60% of the former Imperial fleet has volunteered to serve under the new government. We have retrained their crews and integrated them with human technology. The remaining 40% have been discharged and returned to civilian life. This was better than Morrison had hoped. Many alien military officers had been willing to serve a government based on law and justice instead of fear and oppression. Working together, the combined fleet was stronger than either humans or aliens could have been alone. Captain Ellen Murphy walked over to join the group. She had been busy for months helping to establish new governments on liberated worlds. Admiral, the Krolak species just declared their independence. That makes 47 species that have established free governments since the Empire fell. Morrison smiled. This was the news he most wanted to hear. The enslaved peoples of the galaxy were not just gaining freedom. They were building new civilizations based on their own cultures and values. Any problems with the transitions? Morrison asked. A few, Murphy admitted. Some species have no experience with democratic government. They have lived under imperial rule for so long that they do not know how to make decisions for themselves. But we are providing advisors and teachers to help them learn. Lieutenant Steve Taylor, now a commander, approached with another report. Sir, the economic reorganization is ahead of schedule. Former slave worlds are already beginning to trade with each other freely. The Federation Trade Council has approved 17 new trade agreements this week. Morrison nodded. The economic changes were as important as the political ones. Under the Empire, all trade had been controlled by the central government. Resources from conquered worlds went to benefit the alien homeworld. Now, each species could control their own resources and trade them for things they needed. What about the Zephyrians themselves? Morrison asked. How are they adapting to their new situation? Commander Carter, now the Federation's head of intelligence, had been monitoring the alien homeworld. Most Zephyrian civilians have accepted the new government. They are tired of constant war and conquest. Many are actually happy to live in peace. However, there are still some military groups that want to restore the Empire. This was expected. Any change this large would create resistance from people who had benefited from the old system. Are these resistance groups dangerous? Not very, Carter replied. Without access to Imperial technology and resources, they can do little damage. We are monitoring them, but they pose no real threat to the new government. Morrison walked to the large window that looked out over Haven City. The city had grown rapidly as representatives from across the galaxy came to work on building the new Federation. Ships from dozens of species filled the spaceport. People who had been enemies for centuries were now working together. Captain Watson joined him at the window. She had become the Federation's head diplomat. Admiral, I have some interesting news from the exploration fleets. Oh? Morrison was curious. We have made contact with 3 new species beyond the old Imperial borders. All of them are interested in joining the Federation. Apparently, word has spread that there is now a galactic government based on cooperation instead of conquest. Morrison was pleased but not surprised. The galaxy was a big place. There were probably hundreds of species that had hidden from the Empire or lived beyond its reach. Now they were coming forward to join the new community. Sir, said Captain Foster, who now commanded the exploration ship UES Discovery, the most Interesting contact is with a species called the Mentari. They are energy beings who live in the corona of stars. They have technology that might help us improve our gravity lance weapons. Morrison was interested, but also cautious. Are they willing to share this technology? Yes, sir. They say they want to help build a galaxy where all species can live safely. They have been hiding from the Empire for centuries, but now they want to be part of the Federation. As Morrison looked out at the bustling city, he thought about how much had changed. 40 years ago, humanity had been nearly extinct. Now humans were helping to lead a galactic federation of free peoples. It seemed impossible, but it was real. Admiral, Commander Carter said, there is one more thing. We have received a message from the Deep Space Exploration Fleet. Morrison turned away from the window. What kind of message? They have found something amazing. About 100 light years beyond the old Imperial border, they discovered the ruins of an ancient civilization. The technology is millions of years old, but some of it still works. Morrison was very interested now. What kind of technology? Carter smiled. Technology for faster travel between star systems. If we can understand it, we might be able to cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Morrison looked around at his officers and friends. These people had helped him change the galaxy. They had turned a mission of revenge into a mission of liberation. They had built something better from the ashes of war. How many human ships are now serving in the defense force? Morrison asked. All 50 dreadnoughts plus 300 smaller vessels that we have built since the surrender, Davis reported. We also have ships from 42 other species. The combined fleet is the most powerful force in galactic history. Morrison nodded. And it exists to protect freedom instead of destroying it. He walked back to the center of the group. I want you all to know how proud I am of what we have accomplished. We came here seeking justice for our people. We found something much more important, the chance to build a better galaxy for everyone. Captain Grant smiled. What are your orders for tomorrow, Admiral? Morrison looked out the window again at the ships coming and going from Haven City. Each ship carried people working to build the new Federation. Each ship represented hope for a better future. Tomorrow, we continue building, Morrison said. We have a galaxy to explore, new species to meet, and new worlds to help become free. The work is just beginning. As the sun set over Haven City, Morrison thought about the long journey that had brought them here. From the ashes of genocide, humanity had risen to become not conquerors, but liberators. The Empire's nightmare had indeed come true. But from that nightmare, a new dawn had risen for the entire galaxy. The stars were calling and the Federation was ready to answer.